An Iron Will. Chapter 3. Run like a cyclone. The lightning bolt of swift action. In Chapter 3 of An Iron Will, there's a story about Napoleon. In the Battle of Lodi, well, since I speak Italian, I have to call it Lodi or I'll be mad at myself. But anyway, in the Battle of Lodi, he had to cross a bridge, but the enemies on the other side had all their cannons and artillery aimed right at the start of the bridge. So as soon as an army marched to the beginning of the bridge, they were slaughtered. You see, all these cannons and grape shot and whatever other weapons they were using would follow this arch and land right here at the front of the bridge and just demolish any soldiers or anybody that came to the foot of the bridge at the beginning of it. But Napoleon and his grenadiers had to get across that bridge. The valiant grenadiers were appalled by the task before them, goes the book. Without a word or a look of reproach, Napoleon placed himself at their head. There's Napoleon. Napoleon placed himself at their head, and his aides and generals rushed to his side. Forward again over heaps of dead that choked the passage, and a quick run counted by seconds only carried the column across 200 yards of clear space. Scarcely a shot from the Austrians. The guns of the enemy were not aimed at the advance. Now you can see this. If an army marches onto the bridge, as we said, they would get slaughtered. But because they charged at full speed ahead, by the time the cannons were fired off, Napoleon and his soldiers were already here in the middle, maybe even closer to the edge of the bridge, and all the weaponry just passed over their heads and did essentially no harm to most of the army. Nobody expected an army to rush headlong into such a dangerous place. So they ran past the target area before the Austrians could fire off their guns, and they were past the area where the artillery could hit them. The advance was too quick for the Austrian gunners, the story goes. So sudden and so miraculous was it all that the Austrian artillerists abandoned their guns instantly, and their supports fled in a panic instead of rushing to the front and meeting the French onslaught. Now this chapter has a lot of battles and war stories in it, and it might not seem directly relevant to you and your life. But the truth is, you fight many battles. You've had to battle exhaustion. You battle against the odds. You have to battle fear, and the truth is you often have to battle yourself. We'll get back to that, but first here's a point you should consider. Another great quote from Chapter 3 sums this all up. Prompt decision and whole-souled action sweep the world before them. That is, if you are whole-souled, if you're doing something and putting your entire heart and soul and energy into it, and you do it promptly and decisively, you're just going to sweep away anything that gets in your way. You'll just sweep the world before you. Now, there are situations that are just like the one Napoleon faced at Lodi, where doing the safe thing, the cautious thing, might lead to disaster, but where a rapid charge could lead to success and victory. Now let's get back to this idea of battling yourself. We talked about this last week. What if Napoleon didn't have the self-confidence and courage he is known for? What if he were full of doubts and insecurities? And what if he went ahead and charged forward anyway? The results would have been exactly the same. Whenever fear is stopping you from something you need to do, fight it. Pretend you're Napoleon. And the way you do this is to charge into it like Napoleon did. The thoughts, the exhaustion, the fears that could stop you are like the Austrian cannonballs. Once you get moving quickly, they can't hurt you anymore. There's another story about this that also shows up in the book about Teddy Roosevelt when he charged up a section of San Juan Hill while Spanish soldiers were raining bullets on him and his companions. He made it through without a scratch, pretty much, unharmed. Later, when someone asked him about the experience, he said, "I had to run like a cyclone." Now, I like to keep this image in mind whenever I'm facing a serious task or a challenge, and I recommend you do the same thing. The universe rewards confidence. Even if it's fake confidence, even if you're just pretending to be confident or acting like you think a confident person would act, you will be rewarded for it and you'll get the same results. The universe also loves speed. So I suggest you use this image, whatever you're facing, and run like a cyclone. There's a Yiddish term called chutzpah, which means something like an unshakable confidence. It's something that could have a negative connotation. It could mean you're arrogant or even something harmful or bad. But anyone with chutzpah is usually grudgingly admired. Now, I found a website that defines chutzpah as a kind of acosmic attitude, as though there's nothing really there stopping you from doing whatever you want. Now, try to cultivate this feeling. There's nothing stopping you from doing whatever you want. There are two recent U.S. presidents who are both known for their chutzpah. You'll notice I'm citing Obama and Trump, so you can't accuse me of having any political bias. But also, it's really convenient for me that the two of them both gained their popularity to a large extent through their chutzpah. Now, at least in the context of U.S. politics, their views couldn't have been further apart. But they both said and did things that you could either say were bold or arrogant, depending on your point of view. Both of them really challenged a lot of conventional ideas and risked offending people and alienating people in order to speak out, and they were clearly rewarded and successful for it. Both of them acted as if there was nothing stopping them from doing whatever they wanted. And so this is an example of how if you have a little bit of chutzpah, you can go far. Maybe you'll even become president someday. Now, there's another quote from chapter 3. What miracles have been wrought by the self-confidence, the self-determination of an iron will? What impossible deeds have been performed by it? So if you have confidence, even if you're just pretending you have confidence, you can perform impossible deeds. I'm pointing this out because this week you're going to learn some new skills that will help you take action more swiftly. You'll learn to be swift and decisive. You're going to attack one of the hardest steps to your guiding star, and you're going to have a challenge of the week that should scare you. I hope it scares you. If it doesn't, you're much farther along than most people, so good luck with it. Coming up in the next week, we're going to start looking at your physical body and how your physical strength and stamina affect your iron will, and also how your will affects the body. Now, one more thing before you go. This week, try to perform an impossible deed. Remember, there's nothing really stopping you from doing whatever you want. Run like a cyclone, so quickly that your fear and doubts won't have time to stop you. Run like a cyclone.